A lovely Thursday morning it is, and welcome to the Lusaka Star Radio Magazine program, a program which discusses issues affecting our communities, and I'm your presenter, Godwin Lungu. You, our dear listeners, you'll be coming through on 0211 29 34 35. That's 0211 29 34 35, the number for your live call, your text messages on 0965 830293. That's 0965-830-293, the number for your messages. You can as well catch us on Zeno FM. And of course, we continue to look at national matters. And my guest this morning is a DP member, Mr. Lazarous Simukoko. Good morning, Mr. Lazarus, and welcome to the Lusaka Star.
Good morning, Mr. Godwin, and good morning to our listeners.
I was expecting that DP is going to take part in the mayoral by-elections in Mongo. Unfortunately, only 3 political parties are taking part: the ruling party, UPND, and of course PF and PNUP, the political party for Haive Hamududu.
Absolutely, Mr. Godwin, and I know not only have we thought maybe to file in a candidate, but it's normal for any political party to do so, by failing maybe to file in a candidate for that particular seat. And for us in the Democratic Party, of course, we didn't manage to field in a candidate at mayoral position, but for the rest of the by-elections that will be taking place on the same date, we are participating.
The other by-elections?
Yes, for the councillors.
Why is it that mostly when it is not in the Copper Belt or in Lusaka, DP don't take part in by-elections? Most of the by-elections that you've taken part are from Lusaka and Copper Belt.
Not really, because we need to know that in Southern Province, we have got 2 by-elections. We have got one by-election which is for the councillor. Another by-election is there for the mayoral position. So if that was the case, then we were not supposed to do so. Apart from that, there is another by-election which is taking place in Northern Province for the council as well. Even in that one also, we are participating. If that was the case, Mr. Godwin, we wouldn't have managed to even file in a candidate at councillor level, even in those type of places which you have mentioned.
So why is it that you are not taking part in the mayoral elections? Is it that you do not have people in the Western Province?
No, that wasn't the case. Remember when you are on the date of the nomination day, Mr. Godwin, what usually happens is you need to go there at a particular time when you are supposed to do so. Unfortunately, when we were trying to make sure that everything is in place during that time, and the time elapsed, there are certain things which emerged during that position which I can't manage to bring out to the public. But we managed to successfully file in the candidate for the councillors both in Southern Province and in Northern Province.
And you, our dear listeners, as we stated earlier, you'll be coming through on 0211 293435. That's 0211 293435. Now, before we continue with our discussion, Mr. Simukoko, I have a clip which is taken from the ministerial statement which was given by Honorable Sylvia Masebo. Let's get to listen to it.
These are big business cartels in this country, whether it's fertilizer, whether it is roads, whether it's medicine, whether it's hunting. You know it. And the Zambians are just spectators in all these businesses. The president is trying to help to make Zambians get involved in their own economy. What are you doing? You're allowing yourselves to be used by these people as Zambians. And I didn't say it's you or that one. I'm just saying Zambians out there. You tell me yourself, honorable MPs through the speaker. These people who are going around creating confusion, even when there's no confusion, even when it comes to a simple thing about procurement. Does the minister procure as an individual? Does the minister employ us? It's a government system. But everything we do is challenged. Everything we do is challenged. I've challenged you MPs, help in your respective. And so when you bring these questions, I'm happy because you're helping me. So if from here MPs can go back and phone their various institutions and say, the minister said you were given resources. What have you done? It's you to help. I'm giving this information so that more members of Senanga MP must ask the hospital in Senanga, why don't they have even basic drives? How can a hospital not have Panado? Please, gentlemen and ladies. It is true, yes, honorables, that are being undermined, and I know it. But I also know that even officials in my ministry, some of them are being used by people from outside. I know that. I know that the suppliers paying people within my ministry to create confusion, leaking information, giving half-baked information. I know. I've gone through this lane before. But I stand for the truth. I stand for the truth. And I do my best within my ability to serve the appointing authority because I swore that I will.
All right, so that's the voice of Honorable Suvia Masebo, of course, during her ministerial statement, of course, when questions were being asked, this is how she was answering. The shortage of medicines, or the shortage of medicine in hospitals and clinics. The Honorable is saying these hospitals were given resources, and yet they are failing to buy medicines.
So now, Mr. Godwin, if the minister will begin complaining to the people of Zambia, what are the people of Zambia supposed to do? The main duty, or the main reason, Mr. Godwin, why we have a president in this country, is to begin solving the challenges of a country. The main reason why we have a minister is to solve the problems of a certain ministry. What problem is Madam Sylvia Masebo trying to solve if she begins complaining to the people? Mr. Godwin, in leadership, or if things can be able to be working out effectively, minus anything or any hand being touched on that, we don't need a leader. We don't need a president in the country if Zambia was free from problems. But the main reason as to why we elect a president, as to why a president appoints a certain person to be a minister, it's because we tend to understand to say Zambia faces the challenges of medicine in hospitals. The main issue available here is that we know that Zambia faces other challenges within the country. Provided everything was okay in the country, we can't even need to have a president. We don't even need to have a minister. The main reason as to why a minister is saying all those words is because they know that they have done nothing up to this level. The minister is aware that today when you go at the hospital, you are going to spend 5 hours on a queue. When you spend that 5 hours on a queue, what you are going to get as a result of that 5 hours that has been spent on a queue, it's only a written prescription where you need to go and buy medicine from a chemist. Now, that is the country that we are living in. The minister again, or the Ministry of Health, told the people to say they are going to run the advert for the employment of the health personnel on Monday. Today is Thursday, Mr. Godwin. And according to the Daily Mail, they are saying that they don't have the ink to run the advert. Meaning they don't have the resources for them to write the advert in the paper. Now,
is it true that they do not have ink?
That is where the challenge comes in. Because
they are making sales. They print the newspaper every day and make sales. Where are they getting the ink to print the paper which is going on the market on a daily basis without an advert?
That is the issue. So now, what we expected again is for Zambia Daily Mail not to run any copy from Monday up to now because they can say we have no ink. Now, they are running other stories. Yet the story of employing the health personnel, they are saying that we have no ink to do so.
Is the minister right when she says she's being undermined?
It's not about undermining. The question is, if she thinks she's been undermined, what has she achieved, Mr. Godwin? What has the minister achieved? We need to know to say the health sector in this country has been reduced to mediocrity. We need to understand that the health sector in this country has been undermined to other irrelevant ministries, of which you do even know to say, maybe the impact of this ministry is less. But we don't distort in terms of you going to the Ministry of Health and beginning to make fracas there. No, that is not the issue. What this government is supposed to do, one, it knows to say there is no medicine in these hospitals. If truly they know that there are other people who are using other people within the ministry in order for them to begin releasing the information or to begin demeaning the works that they are doing, or for them not to be doing the certain work, what is the main aim of the minister and the president? Because if such a thing is happening, fire a minister if a minister is not working. Fire those people who you think they are not performing according to your abilities. We need to know to say, when the president was announcing to the public previously, Mr. Godwin, his main aim was, we are going to employ health workers or health personnel, or we are going to make sure that there is no youth unemployment in the country. Meaning, all those promises were made by the president, not the minister. The minister didn't issue any promise to the people of Zambia. It is the president. So all these things that are happening in different ministries, all those issues are going to the president. The issue is, Mr. President, did Madam Sylvia Masebo promise that you are going to employ this kind of workers? Did Madam Sylvia Masebo promise that you are going to be buying a bag of minimum at a cheaper price? That didn't happen. The person who was promising that was the president and the party. Meaning, all those issues that needs to be addressed are supposed to be addressed by the president. For me, when I see shortages of medicine in hospitals, I take a blame on the president.
Let's get to listen to this, because many Zambians, unemployed health personnel, the nurses, the doctors, and all those that were mentioned by the Honorable Minister, the drivers themselves, the maids, the mortuary attendants, they are looking for a recruitment advert in the Daily Mail newspaper. It is not coming out, and what we are being told is that there is no ink to print that advert, but behind the scene, there is this happening.
They want you it, but you can't sit as a civil servant and begin to be seen to be employing people, rightly so or wrongly so. It is not acceptable. It's not acceptable. And I hope that the people from cabinet office are here on this forum, and I hope that there is somebody also from public PSMD. You are creating problems for us. That is why the president had to stop even transfers. That's why in this ministry we are not dealing with transfers, because of fear that we may be misunderstood. Now you're telling me that no, there was a letter which Ngurube did. You mean 6 months, 7 months, a letter can be sitting on the table. Are you telling me that this?
Honorable Minister, sometimes even longer than that. Looking at the circumstances, you can have a letter which was done 8 months ago, Honorable Minister. The paper comes now. So listen. Unless that person is already in employment, and now you are just formalizing it, maybe. But if that person is not in employment, even if he was employed, and if he never entered the office, you cannot formalize that employment. That is wrong. I will not accept that person. You are correct, Minister. Let it be withdrawn. I think, Honorable Minister, with the guidance given, I think what would be best is we can do a letter for PS tomorrow to just cancel everything that was done, so that we don't see, because the fact of the matter is that there are letters which are still not received by the ministry. And if we did a letter to stop PSMT and the commission from acting on those letters, I think that would be the best way to do. Otherwise,
my question is, are these letters, or these people who are being given these letters, are they already working? Are they already in employment? Or these are people who are waiting, we are promised, and now we are formalizing? What is the story? Can you just give me a better explanation of that?
These people, Honorable Minister, are not waiting.
So why are you waiting?
We've not written. I think they were written way back, and then they were with the commission and PSM. No. Now then it's not acceptable. PSM notes before you leave the office tonight. Write a letter to the cabinet.
So that's the officials from the ministry. Of course, the advert is not there. There is no ink. At the same time, people are employing each other secretly, and the minister feels being undermined.
That is the other issue, Mr. Godwin. This government, if that is the case again, you are going to see that instead of telling the public, instead of telling the public to say, you can now begin applying because there is now the advert which is out in the Zambia Daily Mail newspaper. According to them now, they have started employing themselves in the ministry. Now, if they are employing themselves, then where are the people of Zambia being?
But of course, this is without the approval or without the knowledge of the cabinet.
It doesn't matter whether it is with the approval or not. If it is being done in that way, whether the cabinet has approved that, minus running the advert, or whether it has not, that is the wrong way of doing things. The best way is to run the advert. Let other people also apply. Now the question is, if they begin employing themselves, basuvya masebo ngatwa na blue bako bawo kuja. Ababena ngo ba permanent secretary ngatwa na blue bako bawo. And then mamboleta na beka manje mujambo start employ. Where do you think these ordinary citizens of this country are going to be finding employment?
But
you've
heard the clip I have played.
Yes, I have heard the clip very well.
Okay.
Because according to that clip, there are certain letters which are being issued, minus for those people who are not yet employed, they are looking for employment. Meaning, according to that clip, they have now started employing secretly, minus the knowledge of the cabinet. That is the issue. Now, the main question shouldn't be about the knowledge of the cabinet. The main question should be, why running that process in the first place? Apart from that, Mr. Godwin, we need to know to say, the ministry itself, that is the Ministry of Health, it's not serious with what it is doing. Not serious at all. Look, when you look at what you are talking about here, you are talking about the drivers, you are looking at the health person, the clinical workers, you're looking at those people now, the cleaners and other people.
The mortuary attendants.
The mortuary attendants. Now, what we need to do is that for every sector that we look at, we need to be looking at forward linkages and backward linkages. The question is, before the main part is reached, what is the point there? You need to know to say, when you are dealing with the health sector, you want to begin delivering medicine in hospitals. There are people who are going to be employed instantly. Those people are the drivers. You don't need to run such adverts in short. The drivers, they are going to begin applying for those tenders. Immediately they apply, they are going to be given that mandate for them to begin supplying those drugs in these different hospitals. What has happened? What has happened at that moment now, Mr. Godwin, is that those drivers have been employed. Apart from that now, we have got what we are calling now forward linkages. What does that create now? The government needs to be aware to say, when you are employing the people in the health sector, you need to know the outcome. If one worker is working in the family, you need to know that that family is a bit safe, minus a family which is having a lot of people minus working. That is the case, Mr. Godwin.
Now, if you look at what is happening, do you think there is political will from the UPND government to employ people?
Nothing. The UPND government, I mentioned it earlier here, Mr. Godwin, to say the UPND government will not employ these health personnel. They are going to be backtracking. Now, the main issue which is there is that why did they promise if they knew that they can't do it? That is fake now. Fake adverts. They are saying that you are going to run the adverts, you are going to employ. That is fake. Now, if it is fake, Mr. Godwin, if you are advertising a product which you are not selling, then it is a crime. You can't be advertising the product which you are not in position with. That is wrong again. Because let us look at the ministry of different ministries in short. You have heard people advertising about vehicles and other things, then they are not in position with what they are advertising. They tend to be arrested. Manje Godwin mugwira bajabantu for such cases. Manje imweni nshimwe bajabena ngwali mu ministry. What is the case at that moment? So the UPND government should be serious at some point. Let it be serious because there are people in this country who are yet to be employed. They have not employed any health personnel as we are speaking. Not even the same cleaner they are talking about. Not even any mortuary attendant. Nothing of that kind has happened. Apart from that also, the ministry needs to know to say, the Ministry of Health, it needs to know to say, when people are sick, many Zambians are not working. Many Zambians have no jobs. Businesses are being shuttered on a daily basis. The question is, how are they surviving? You go at the hospital, Mr. Godwin. You find that there is no medicine in this hospital. You find that there is no medicine in such kind of an hospital. Then you are given a written prescription to go and access such kind of a medicine in a chemist. The question should be, do you have the money to purchase such medicines as an individual? You don't have. For what reasons? One, you are not working. Two, your business is closing. Today, as we are speaking, Mr. Godwin, for a marketeer who is running a simple business at home, uja muntu azafunika ende mtown. Akaenda mtown ba Godwin azalipira poenda maybe 10 kwacha, pobwele alipira 13 kwacha, 23 kwacha has been spent on transport. Uja muntu akabwela pa business yake. Kutachite chabe recover ija transport money ya uzinga, penzo enda. It will take time. It will take time. Now, the main question that we need to ask is, why is this government doing this to the people? Secretly, they are employing themselves minus the knowledge of the cabinet. Apart from that also, we need to know to say, if that is happening, then it has been brought to the public. Then what else do you think is happening in the ministry? It is so sad, Mr.
Should
Godwin.
we insinuate that possibly some workers at Daily Mail connived with some officials at the ministry to make sure that the advert is not run until they employ each other?
No, Mr. Godwin. For me, I will not take it that way. I can't blame Daily Mail. I can't blame Daily Mail. That is an order from the highest authority. You can't disobey what is supposed to be run.
Who is failing?
It is the president who is failing. Don't even attribute anything to the minister. It is the president who is failing. That is simple. The president has failed to run this country. And at times I tend to sit down to say, look, the president of the UPND, the president we have in this country, was talking about economics on a daily basis. Let me tell you one thing, Mr. Godwin, why the people of Zambia changed the government. The people of Zambia changed the government because they thought that they were buying things at expensive prices. Not that there were no roads in the country. Not that there were no hospitals which were built in the country. Not that there were no schools which were built in the country. Not that we had no infrastructure development in the country. No. The main reason why people said so, they were saying, look, Stingadema Road. That is what people were saying. Stingadema Road. Ungawadula. And at that moment, the price of the bag of mini 25 kg was selling at 120. Let us look at the price of a bag of mini meal today. And that is why I've said, when you look at those health personnel who are supposed to be employed, it is not the minister who promised. It is the president. The minister is trying to fulfill the promise which the president made. So if the minister fails, for me I will not take it to say the minister has failed, because we can change even 10 ministers in a 5-year term of a president. You can even change 5. The president can even appoint another minister today if he wants. If he thinks the current minister is not performing. So, if the minister is not performing, who is supposed to be blamed at the end of the day? Again, the people of Zambia, they didn't vote for Madam Suvia Masebo to be the Minister of Health. The people of Zambia did not vote for Wamutolo to be the Minister of Agriculture. That didn't happen. What happened is, the people of Zambia voted for the UPND and its president and the vice president, because they understood what the president was saying by saying, we are going to employ 11,000 plus health workers. We are going to employ 30,000 plus teachers. Now, if the Ministry of Education fails to employ that number, who are you going to blame? Are you going to blame the president or the minister? For me, I'm going to blame the president, because it is the president who is appointing. People who are incompetent, and when you are appointing people who are incompetent, it means you as an individual, you are incompetent. Now, the president again is now behaving like an under 5 economist, because all the things he was saying when he was in opposition, he has not fulfilled that. Apart from that, all the economical parameters he was insinuating to the people of Zambia, none of such things have transpired. Nothing of that kind. The question is, if truly the president was able to write the formulas which he can write to say this is how you are going to do it, at times when I sit down, Mr. Godwin, I tend to think to say, is it that the president was reading the books for economics which were outdated? Or is it that he was reading the theories which he cannot apply? If the case is like that, then the president cheated to get into office. If the president cheated when getting into office, it means the people of Zambia again have the responsibility to remove the president out of power when the time comes. That is in 2026. And that is why, Mr. Godwin, this government has failed tremendously. Tell me any sector which is performing okay today as we are speaking. There is no ministry which is performing okay. Tell me any minister which you can say this minister is outstanding. There is confusion almost everywhere.
We have to get to the other sector, but
Yes.
Before that, let's get to the issue of medicine a bit, because the minister in her statement, she's saying these ministries, rather these health facilities were given grants triple than what they were being given during the PF. Why is it that they are failing to use the same money which is given to them to make sure that there is medicines in hospitals?
That question can be answered by the minister, not me. Because it is the ministry which did that. If the ministry has done that, it means I'm going to assume, again to say, they thought that maybe they have given those hospitals that money. Then there are other people, Mr. Godwin, who have done what? Who are stepping on that money. Because even the president, remember, when he was in the Eastern Province, the president used such a strong word. You know, bantu bakufa pa bridge. Veze batenga chandu wankalira pandalama. That is what the president was saying. Now, will I be wrong to use the same statement he used to say, batenga chanya wankalira pandalama? Is it wrong to say so? Because one, if that is the case, there is corruption in the system. And this government is busy saying that they are fighting corruption. Then we are wrong to begin thinking that they are doing so. Again, if the case is that they have supplied the money to these hospitals and clinics, then they have not purchased medicine. The question is, has the minister visited those clinics and hospitals to ask the person who is in charge or the people who are in charge in terms of procuring or buying such medicines which are supposed to be bought in those hospitals? Nothing of that kind has happened. That simply means we are lacking a certain element. The zeal to employ the people, the zeal to put the Zambian people first, and the zeal to make sure that everything runs in accordance to the way they are supposed to be run. Because when you look at the president now is even out of the public. He's not even, I don't know what.
Let me ask you this way. Let me take you as my dependent. Mm-hmm. You are staying alone, mm-hmm. but your survival depends on me. I give you 1,000 kwacha today. Tomorrow I come, I find there is no minimum at your place, and you tell me that pano panyumba paribe unga ningo vutika che. When I gave you 1,000 kwacha, whose problem is that? Is it my problem or your problem?
That is the family matter. That is the family matter, Mr. Godwin.
We are also talking about.
Yes, I'm coming now. The example you have given me, it's for the family matter. You don't bring family matters in the governance system. There is no family there. You can forgive someone because the person maybe has misused your 1,000 kwacha, and that was your money because that person is your dependent. But in this case, the Zambian people are not dependents. It's their right. A right and a dependent, or you depending on something, it's a different scenario, Mr. Godwin.
I don't want you to misquote me because
no, I get the point.
My question is, for example, we have UTH. Mm-hmm. UTH is given money, mm-hmm. and they don't buy the medicines. Who is to blame? Is it the minister or UTH should be answerable for failing to do that?
Which hospital has been asked that question, Mr. Godwin? That's the first question I'm going to ask. Apart from that, when you are given a scenario of you and maybe a dependent, that scenario isn't applying because that dependent again has another dependent. That's what we need to know. In as much as we can attribute this to the hospital also receives patients on a daily basis. So it is a chain which is running from the ministry to the hospital than to the patients. In this case, we are talking about the people of Zambia. So if we are going to end our thinking on the hospital itself, at hospital level, and forget about the dependents or the people you are calling as dependents who are supposed to go there and begin receiving those medicines, then you are missing a point. The question, or the scenario, the way you would have managed to give it to me is, you have got a dependent, then that dependent has another dependent, again those dependents have other dependents. Then you are going to say, maybe the reason why this person doesn't have, has not managed to buy a bag of mini meal, it's because maybe the other dependents who he has also, who he has managed to do so. Now, that is just the other example which you can give in that angle. Now, when you come to the issue of medicine procurement, you need to know to say, the minister is fully in charge. And then, apart from that, the minister becomes answerable to the president. So, when you are trying to connect the issue of medicine procurement, you also tend to know about the supply of medicines and other things. The ministry is supposed to procure medicine, not give money to hospitals. No. The ministry is supposed to procure medicines, then give medicines to the hospitals. Not giving money to the hospitals that go and buy medicines. No, you don't do so. It is the ministry then which doesn't know what it is doing. It's the ministry new.
Now, because Honorable Sylvia Masebo is not new to this ministry. She was the Minister of Health in the MMD government. And now she's the Minister of Health in the UPND government. Why is she facing these challenges?
It's because, Mr. Godwin, people like Istumbaiko Msokotwane, that Minister of Finance, people like Sylvia Masebo, and other guys from the MMD who are in that UPND, they are the ones who contributed to the MMD in terms of losing power. Why did they do so? It's because MMD began recording incidences like the ones that are being recorded now. It's because you need to know to say, when the Minister of Health who we are having today was the Minister of Tourism, there are other issues which rose in the Ministry of Tourism. You haven't touched on that. Msokotwane, the Minister of Finance, was among the people who contributed to the demise of the MMD government. Now, you have brought the people who contributed to the failure or the demise of political parties like the MMD into governance again, or into your government system. What happens is, the mistakes they were making during that moment, they are going to begin making them now. Because the members, they say, Uwakale matakaleka. You expect such things and such scenarios. Apart from that, Mr. Godwin, we need to know, to say, in as much as we begin saying that, it's not the first time for the Minister of, for the Minister of Health to occupy such kind of a position, we also need to know to say, how did she perform when she was the Minister of Health during that time? Was the performance tremendous or it was awkward? If the performance was awkward, and then she was shifted to another ministry, what do you expect? That she retains the same ministry which is there. And that is why, Mr. Godwin, the president has never been serious on these issues. The president hasn't paid attention to issues such as
Should the president start firing some ministers?
If that is what it takes for the promises to be delivered, then that is the way.
You've touched on Honorable Stumbeko Msokotwane. There is an issue today. Yesterday, obviously, there is a story which was run by Lusaka Times, where the Honorable Minister of Finance was asking the European Union to help Zambia access the 1.4 billion kwacha bailout package announced in December 2021. And this hasn't gone well with some political parties who are now saying maybe the bailout package has flopped. And the Minister of Finance, they have actually posted on their Facebook page that what is being circulated, that it has the IMF bailout has failed, it should be treated as a rumor and dismissed with the contempt it deserves. If you look at the performance of Honorable Stumbeko Msokotwane, do you think we are heading somewhere with him?
No. For me, I don't want to judge a minister. For me, I will not judge a minister, Mr. Godwin.
But
Because,
he's in charge.
wait, I'm coming. As a president, you can even get a mad person to be the minister. You have that authority, provided that person is perceived to be normal to you. It's that normal. The president appoints the people. That is the case. Now, let us look at Mr. Msokotwane and the way he has done things. We need to know to say, Godwin ngati mulipa nyumba ino. Mwatenga unga, mwagulira bapa nemba. Then mwendo pimisa. What are you trying to do? Am I going to consider such kind of a person as a normal person, or there is something wrong in the head? There must be something wrong. The government is crying about all those things, yet they have forfeited what we are calling the mineral royalty tax in the mining sector. It is doing all that, Mr. Godwin. Today it is giving tax holidays and tax exemptions to the foreign companies. Yet the Zambian people are suffering at this moment. Today, as we are speaking, the main reason as to why MMD lost power is because of the IMF. Because the IMF has got its own policies, Mr. Godwin. If I was to run you through the policies of the IMF, among them, Mr. Godwin, is one, you need to make sure that you privatize certain institutions. And that was the case during the MMD. Apart from that, it does not focus on economical growth. Because one other reason which must be attributed to is those guys are in business, just like banks. You can't say the bank is doing you a favor by keeping for you the money that you are saving with them. No. You can't say the bank is doing me a favor because they are putting my interest on the savings that I have. Then you are wrong. The main reason as to why you might be given the interest rates by the government, it's by the bank or the banks. It's because you are saving your money in the savings account. The main reason as to why the bank is keeping you the money, it's because one, there are withdrawal charges. Two, there are other things that are charged. Again, when they are keeping your money, such as monthly servicing. Now, the question that must be asked is, if truly the IMF is a business entity, just like any bank, the question that we must be able to ask is, what kind of a profit do they want to get from Zambia? Or what kind of a profit is Zambia ready to forfeit to the IMF? It is so sad, Mr. Godwin, that we are in the country where people can't understand the opportunities that are lying in this country. It is so sad, Mr. Godwin, that when we have the people who are running the affairs of the country, they don't know what is happening and what is transpiring. The president, the former president and the late president of Tanzania, President Magufuli, rejected all forms of bailout and all forms of loans. Our government bayindo gwada uko. Atiai, mutipasi reverso na so. What kind of a government are we having then? I have mentioned earlier, Mr. Godwin, to say, the main reason as to why we elect leaders, it's because there are problems that are faced in any country. Now, if you elect leaders and then they fail to solve the problems, then they are not leaders. They are not leaders in that country. We have got a country called Zambia, Mr. Godwin, today as we are speaking. Zambia has failed to take advantage of its own worthiness. What kind of a country is that? Further again, when you look at the IMF itself, the IMF, which was formed in 1949, has never, tell me one country, Mr. Godwin, which will say that that country has managed to develop to that level because of the IMF. Nothing of that kind. Zambia today is worse because people like President Chiluba relied on the IMF. Zambia today is worse because of the IMF. And I'm not going to run away from that fact.
So why is it that it is difficult to point out that any country which has been helped by IMF, which has succeeded, why is it that it is very difficult to succeed with IMF money? Because IMF is also in business. They are looking for profits. It's like when you are dealing with the public-private partnership. Mr. Godwin, if I was to contract a person on the PPP project, let's say we want to do the
Great East Road on the private-public partnership. The person will come over and say, okay, we are going to do this road. Or we are going to do this road. But we are going to put the toll gates. The money that the people of Zambia will be paying as a result of those toll gates or toll fees, that will be our money. That is how the PPP works. Equally, the IMF is looking at Zambia and say, what kind of profit are we going to gain from Zambia? Foreigners are coming to Zambia to say, if we are to do this, what are we going to gain from Zambia? That is why more na wambochafu fit my taxes. It's because there is something which is hidden, which we are not sure of for this government to begin doing so. Now, before I conclude with the IMF again, let me incorporate that with the companies. We have got what we call transfer pricing. Transfer pricing. Mr. Godwin, you can have a company in Zambia, a mining company in Zambia. You also have a mining company where? In Malawi. Now, when you are dealing with price transfer, what will happen is you are going to go to the company which you have, let's say it is producing copper in Congo. Let me give the example of Congo because Congo also produces copper. You have a company in Zambia and a company in Congo. The company which is in Congo, in that Congo, let's say per ton of every copper that is exported, you are supposed to pay a 50% tax. Okay? In Zambia, it's regardless of what you export, in terms of how many tons, you don't get to pay any tax. What will happen is, you are going to connive with the two companies. The company which you have in Congo and the company which you have in Zambia. You are going to begin buying copper from the company which is in Congo, not at the market price. The copper at the market price, let's say it's 100 million US dollars per ton. You are going to say, we are going to sell this at 300 US dollars to Zambia. Then you are going to say, even if that government asks you to say, why did you sell that copper to Zambia? You are going to say, at the international market, no one was ready to buy our copper, but the copper was ready. What have you done? You have moved that copper from Congo to Zambia at what amount? 300 US dollars instead of 1 million US dollar per ton. When you bring it to Zambia, it will be exported from Zambia to other countries minus a tax because the government has forfeited what we are calling the mineral royalty tax. Now, Mr. Godwin, if that is the case, how many people around the world are taking advantage of Zambia? How many? How many people within those companies have connived with Zambia to begin selling copper at a reduced price, hence infringing on the international market of the copper prices? There are a lot. The main issue as to why we have the government is to make sure that certain policies are implemented, maintained, and also executed. If you have the government which is not doing any of that, it's as good as not having a government. Because this government is not aware of things like price transfer. Where other companies where they are paying taxes, huge taxes, they are now doing what? They are now using Zambia to begin infringing on other mineral resources which other countries have. The question we need to ask is, do you think Congo is going to be happy with Zambia because the government has done so? Do you think that Malawi will be happy with Zambia? Do you think that other countries will be happy with Zambia? Absolutely not, because where they were supposed to gain a 1 million US dollars per ton of every copper, every gold, and everything that they produce, they are gaining, let's say, a 50% tax from just a 300 which has been sold. The main issue why we have government is to make sure that certain things are implemented in certain angles and certain orders. But this government is doing nothing.
Let's get to the other issue, the fight against corruption. How do you look at it?
The fight against corruption, I'm going to look at it as the only and the other thing which the government has flopped. This government has not managed to fight any form of corruption. Allow me to say so. Because even the president began now confessing to say, there are certain cliques who are teaching my ministers to do this. Oh, there are certain cliques, but president may share issue with you. You have got presidents in different countries who have taken advantage of certain situations and said, if we don't fight corruption to its core, we are not going to go anywhere as a country. You are playing that clip, Uko. They have started employing others secretly in the health sector. Man, as the cabinet knowing, secretly, bazingenesa beka manchito. Because in any related to a permanent secretary baningenesa. Yo ineba minister ni wakuru banga baningenesa. Yo inaba ni bandani banga baningenesa. Mani ba God winanga ba jabantu wakutati bali peko watch blue audience wa menali mu government. Baza survivor point. You have got people in this country, Mr. Godwin, who are barely surviving. Barely surviving. What kind of a country is that? Apart from that, Mr. Godwin, if this government was serious about fighting corruption, I am going to tell you to say there are certain decisions this government has made which are not fit to be considered moral. There is no ethical responsibility in this government. The government promises the people that you are going to run the adverts. Today, Mr. Godwin, if I was to say I am selling a vehicle, and then they discover that I'm not in a position of any vehicle, bangani mange bani manga, because I'm advertising the things which I'm not in position with. Our government abangatibazi batibangenesa manchito. Wakiambo kamba TI, running a advert, zachita so. Mwana mabantu atizamingenesa manchito. Bali 11,000. Mwana mabantu bali 30,000 atizamingenesa manchito. Mwana mama youth ati bonse mama youth mzange na manchito. Then mwabauza to pamanda advert icho kamuyambo chita apply. Bantu bali mbelati na ma application atipeleka. How many people bought the Zambia Daily Mail newspaper on Monday only to find out that there is no advert there? Baba fulinga, monga ni fools day. This government has now started taking Zambians as fools. Let me say so. It is wrong to do so. Simunga useba antu atiai lelo pamande mzambo chita apply because advert is abwera. Abo bantu endokula ma daily newspapers. Yambiri, ask the daily newspaper company. How many copies did you sell on Monday? Their sales increased because there are people who were thinking that there is the advert which is in the paper. If that was the case, by Sunday, they were supposed to release a report again to say, tomorrow the advert will not run, so that they reduce on the number of people who are going to access the Daily Mail newspaper. There are people who don't buy newspapers in this country, Mr. Godwin. They don't do so. But on that particular day, they bought it specifically because they wanted to apply as health personnel, as cleaners, as the government has said. But the issue is, did they manage to apply? Bakodini mbantu baniuza TI lelo mulipepa muzapeza muvaso naso mwapeza hivyo mulipe. What has happened? You have infringed on the credibility that you had as an individual. One, the government has lost credibility. We need to know that. The government has lost its direction. That is why almost every ministry again has lost its direction again. What kind of a government does that? You don't get time to begin wasting on workers, the people of Zambia, to begin accessing the papers where there is no advert. Because vanajaira ma speeches beve, baberenga chape ma speeches, vonse zera kamba visira ma speeches, bambofuna bantu wa Zambia bazikula ma newspaper, such as yali ku Daily Mail yaja on such a particular day, that's why ndo chita apply so that nawe bamboberenga chima speeches yao. That is not how a country is supposed to be. You promised the people.
We were told that the advert will actually be out before the end of the week. Obviously, the week is coming to an end tomorrow.
They said Monday. Mr. Godwin, they said Monday. Let us not run away. If that statement came, then it came after Monday. The point I'm trying to make, Mr. Godwin, is you are running a shop. Konso kuma machani ma shop bagulisa unga pa 180. Ero mwauza ati mairo chabe unga uzambo kuliwa pa 60 kwacha. Ero mwapanga makiu, bandu mwapeza pa makiu bambiri. After mwapeza then mwambo kamba iyai unga ukati pa 150 ero chimnaba uzamairo ati malunga uzankala pali chani pali 60 kwacha. Do you think that those people will let you?
The complaint from some of the UPND officials is that there are people within the system who are trying hard to frustrate the efforts of the UPND government.
Who has put them in the system? Big question. Who has put those people in the system? It is the president and the ministers. Those are the people who have put the same people in the system. Then, in an system,
the minister finds the system. The president finds the system. There are people that
no, Mr. Godwin,
we are already working in the Ministry of Health.
Yes.
There are people who are already working in the Ministry of Education, tourism, or whichever sector. And what the president does is to appoint the permanent secretary and the minister in charge. But again, those people will still be there. This party will go out of power. Those people will still be there. They will be found by the new party which will form government.
Mr. Godwin, the ethics which you follow, let's say at Unza Radio, they are not the same ethics which they might be followed, which you can follow at another station. The point I'm trying to make is, each person who comes into government as a president, the president will come with his or her own ethics. Those ethics or ethical considerations, ethical layouts, they are the ones that are going to be used when you are working. If the policy has been changed at Unza Radio to say you report at 6, you knock off at 19, you can't say, but at komboka 15, so I say, still komboka your time. You can't say so. Because you come with a certain policy. Apart from that, Mr. Godwin, there are ways you can retrench people in different ways if you think they are not doing so. Other people retrench workers. Different companies retrench workers because they are not meeting their targets. And it's not the fault of the company. Are you telling me, Mr. Godwin, that when you go into government Mogira position, you can do anything you want? No. The issue is, the president has left those people in that angle to be operating in such a way, if he has managed to allow them so, or if such things are happening. Apart from that, who are those people? Let them come forward and say, where are the drugs in my hospitals? Now you. We are such a employee or Tsarembe advert for Daily Mail. Then you are going to see the kind of mediocrity which is in existence. But ministry bakamba tizarani nga advert and then wapa Daily Mail wamiuza TI tibeink muvomere. That's not how things are. Then wapa Daily Mail go and buy a Daily Mail newspaper mzapeza ma news yenango yali they have been written. Bapeza inki yolemba pa ma stories yenango. But inki yolemba ma advert which is less than a page. Balibe. Just know that babeva bamumutu vinango civil straight. Understand that point. Zambia was built on the principle of hard work. People like Kaunda and other people who fought for freedom, fought for such freedoms on the principle of hard work. But the president wetiri nabo lelo. Disi ya chabe mukukamba. Bakakamba tia itachita employ bantu aba. Youth indaba inasidira pa paper ija kuribe kweyenda. Follow certain programs, Mr. Godwin, in that angle. Ija youth indaba isasidira pa paper. The employment which the president attributed to yazasidira pa paper. Von says zasidira pa paper. In short, we vaona mngati wa bantu wa Mzambia wazata ma paper. That is why even pamandi wanauza tikaguleni ma post newspaper ma Daily Mail newspapers mzapeza ma advert yo inda ku health because wanajaira ma paper daily. Wanajaira ma paper.
Let's speak calls. 0211293435 is the number that you are calling us on. You can come through and of course add your voice to what we are discussing. We have officially opened the lines and you, our dear listeners, you can come through and of course add your voice to what we are looking at this morning. Obviously, if you are unable to come through via a call, you can text us on 0965830293. Hello, good morning. Yes, Elvis. Tizi bazolero mumveka monga mwa voice mveka monga ili muchidramu. Hello? Mukarigone ukani gaire? Okay, kambani tivere.
Good morning again.
Good morning, Mr. Elvis.
Ni wa Lazarous Simukoko.
Muri, yeah.
Yes. You are speaking very well, Mr. Simukoko.
Simukoko.
Mr. Simukoko, yeah. You are speaking very well. The failure by this government to procure medicines in the hospitals just shows you how incompetent this government was voted for in power by their promises which they told the people of Zambia that when they come, all those things which people were crying about were going to be the thing of the past. The procurement of the medicine is paid. The honorable minister doesn't even know what to be doing. As you have said, Mr. Simukoko, it's not the duty of the hospital to buy medicine. This time in Memorial, it's the Ministry of Health which procures medicine through medical stores and distribute to various health centers. For me, I've known this for a long time because I've been to rural areas where I've seen medical stores distributing medicine. I've never seen a health facility go and buy medicine. It is a new Johnny government. This government came through the city, Mr. Simukoko. All those things they were promising, the dollar the water will appreciate. How much is the water? I heard Anthony was yesterday saying the price of fuel was going to rise. And it is going to affect a lot of people. The spokesperson is anticipating. When the PF was telling them that it's COVID, it's due to this, it's due to that, they were refusing. Today they are saying the war in Ukraine is really affecting Zambia. What kind of mediocrity is this?
As you conclude, Mr. Elvis.
As I conclude, Simukoko, this government has totally failed. Minimum is high. The price of fuel is high. Everything is high. So this government is going to it. If it is going to last in 2026, I'm telling you, the wire, government. Thank you, Simukoko.
Thank you very much. Your time is ample, Mr. Elvis. We accommodate others as well. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Akode.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Fanuel Mangala.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Fanuel.
Yes, you are speaking very well. Yes, I think I really give you credit. You see, this government was so fortunate to have found a part like PF that put up for a lot of infrastructure, a lot of things. They made mistakes, of course. And it was highly expected that from the few mistakes, they didn't make so many mistakes. They set an exaggeration. No. From the few mistakes that they made, this government was expected to do things differently. The question of finance, it became a song. But now, even the finance is no longer in the hospital. What are they saying? To say that, maybe there's no heat for every time this and that. These are some of the excuses, you see, that people of Zambia are very, very, very annoyed with this government. And that's how they've lost confidence in this government. And that's how this government is losing popularity at the rate never seen for any political party in this country. Even the PF which lost the power, they didn't know they were going to lose power. Because they were still surprised everywhere. But this government, everybody, wherever you go, people are complaining. Wherever you go, even if you want to defend them, you will not be able to do that. Because it's become now everywhere. It wasn't like this in the PF, no. There are certain things that people criticize and so on, but certain things, the people are quite happy. They are quite satisfied. What I was okay, people were trading oil and so on. Today there's no money. How can one support such a government?
As you conclude, Mr. Mangala.
So, Mr. Simukoko, please, you are speaking well. And I want to comment about the money that you talked about. Maybe you are doing some business yourself. Where is the money now? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fanuel Mangala for coming through and for being a part of the program. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Godwin.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Siame. You can go ahead with your comment.
Thank you so much, my brother. Good morning, Mr. Simukoko.
Good morning, Mr. Siame.
Yes. Godwin, I think it's important that you approach Mr. Simukoko to elaborate more issues on the national matter. And he has outlined a lot of things. If indeed this government are listening, they have to do something over the challenges the Zambian people are facing. Because there's no way, each time you hear them pronouncing things, it's all about promises. They have kept on promising the people things which they are failing to achieve. They have continued with their way of appeasing individuals. Yeah? Because if you listen to these ministers, whenever they are talking, you can't see hope from them. You can't see hope that yes, whatever the minister is saying, maybe 2 weeks or 3 weeks from now we are going to see something, maybe change from whatever they are saying. The issue is nothing. Eh? So Mr. Simukoko continue propounding, continue advising this government, because if this government fails, it means that all of us will be affected from their failure. If they succeed, it means that all of us will succeed. But we don't want them to fail. We want them to do the right thing. Because at the end of the day, we are talking about the lives of Zambian people. Are you with me, Mr. Simukoko?
Yes, I am.
Yes, we are fighting for the livelihood of the Zambian people to ensure that their cost of living are improved. The services, whenever they visit these social amenities, they are improved. But it's like we are talking to stones.
As you conclude, Mr. Siame.
In conclusion, it surprises me when their colleagues, they have built hospitals, they have built clinics, they have built all the health centers in this country. But for them, they are just failing even to procure Panadol, so that the people, whenever they visit these hospitals, they can able to access this medicine. The minister says that they released the funds to ensure that the procurement of drugs are enhanced. But where is the drugs? Where are the drugs which the ministers procured? Because if they are indeed they have released money, by now 7 months is a long time. We could have seen something in these hospitals. Thank you so much for Godwin Simukoko for their work well.
Thank you very much. 0211 29 34 35 is the number. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Yeah, I thought so. Please, Mike, how is Matero? Hello? Please, Mike? Okay, you were faint. You can go ahead with your comment.
Good morning, Mr. Prince Mike.
Okay, thank you very much. I saw Mr. Prince Mike is saying the president should remove Honorable Suvia Masebo from her ministerial position. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Hello, Miss.
Hello?
Yes, boss, how are you?
I'm very fine. How are you, Mr. Boss there?
Yes, Mr. Nyerenda, you can go ahead with your comment.
Thank you. No, we are listening. Indeed. There is no need the minister to be fired. There is no need to be fired. Firing minister is not a solution. It is a case. And
Unfortunately, the network seems not to be very good, but of course you can add your voice as well. The number is 0211 29 34 35. We've lost that caller. 0211 293435. Come through and of course add your voice to what we are looking at this morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. How are you, sir?
Yes, good morning, sir. Your name again?
Yeah, this is Boston. We are calling you within Kanyama constituency.
Kanyama constituency. You can go ahead with your comments, sir.
Yes, please, Mr. Simukoko. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much. We are listening, but I've got about maybe one or two questions that I want to ask you. Just sometimes the area is better to laugh because maybe some other things is that you take it in the range. You have no other way to speak against that you have spoken today. However, when you try to reflect and introspect the EPND today, we also try to both the local and international debt that the previous government left. And so far, how much has been paid within the EPND? And so that, let me just look at look at the situation as it is now. I also inform the people. What could have been the problem? That's why I didn't like they are continuing not to be there. Is it because of that also some debt that the APND did pay back? That was caused by the previous thing. Then, secondly, as a leader also, who's a leader in West, try to tell us what is it that you want to do. You personally, as your party, what is your manifesto? Tell us. Because it's about making a difference, not only trying to look at people that is there for just about 7 months. Yes, that in their 10 years that they have ruled, and that's why people they have thought otherwise. And so for you to come up like this within before a year of trying to put something through the 18 million plus people, I don't think it is being fair. However, we are listening, therefore, as we go on, we also we have some other questions to ask as we go on, but just expect that some other things happen along the way before the end. It will be very shame for a leader like you to reverse back the way that you are to say right now. Thank you. I support you.
Thank you very much. 0211 29 34 35 is the number that you are calling us on. Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Yes, sir. How are you?
Thank you very much, Mr. Botumi. This is also calling you from Uganda.
Muntu Mususu, you've been quiet of late. How are you?
I'm around.
Monica Chepa ma Facebook. You can go ahead with your comment, General Mark.
I'm wondering network the concern is the crisis that's before the Ministry of Health. But drugs are not being procured in time. Serious medical supplies are not being delivered in time. Things are horrible. What is the Ministry of Health is concerned, and people with a body in Lungu are dying. As you are raising these things, people are dying. Somebody asked the question to say, who is going to atone for the patients that are dying now? Your procurement, you have to know they are getting money now giving hospitals. Mugamba ku align things, mugamba ku kwanya bintu, mugamba ku vite mrura kwa mugamba kwina. You must be very cautious. Institutional memory, or a book picture of Chito, Sunga picture of once, then the number one. When the number one, but the number one. They don't know that Suzanisa, who's the money Munakwanya, that the procurement have taken Suzanisa and taken it from the Ministry of Health. Those people that are Jamis, they know nothing that is happening. Hospitals, they are ordering this drug from Jamis, and Jamis is not delivering this drug. And as a result, people are dying like cockroaches and rats. So, the network, how are you? He was working in the room, you know very much how I support the government very much in the budget. I supported them, and I'm still supporting. But people kept me warning me to
But where is the implementation now? What is not on the board in Syria? You were what to IMF for the Jama IMF. You can see Mamanzi Abwa the budget is mentioned a lot of things. That will be very difficult. Control development fund is very much CDF. As you conclude, Mr. Mark. Very much so what we are asking, I said that this year don't still have hope in it. We want them to do something right. Somebody said if it failed, it means we have all failed. So what we are saying is that please don't start this recycle the politicians that are there are going to cause this administration. There's a disaster and it's bad enough, candid enough. These ministers are destroying it. They were the same way we used to condemn Medical Lungu. Medical Lungu fired these people, he never used to fire them. There are some ministers in this government that are not working like Sylvia and the people are dying there. And if you the whole blame goes on the president. There's no one else. He's the one who's applied. The gentleman who was sitting in the studio there. He's right. The person to blame is the president. Thank you very much, General Mark. Your time is up, sir. Zigo Mokwambiri, Muntu Mususu, General Mark. He has dumped the PF to join the Socialist Party. He announced his defection on social media and I read the post. Hello, good morning. Mkwai mwa bukashani ni banani abo? Bapita chireshe pakalingalinga. Pitirishe ni tumfwe bapita.
Mkwai bapita chireshe mwa bukashani.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Peter, for coming through. 0211293435. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Yes, Mr. Chikubabe, you can go ahead with your comments, sir.
I'm fine, thank you, Mr. Chikubabe. How are you?
Mr. Simukoko, you are speaking very well. I'm sure you are helping the government. I'm also to help you. I'm sure that development that now Mr. Simukoko, you are finding this in the situation whereby you have got no drugs. The area is the president, the appointed authority, and this is the secretary who says no more about 3 to 4 months without appointing you. We were asking this question. Why are you not appointing the ministers? You say that we are going to appoint the genuine minister. Is it the genuine minister that will receive the material? Is it the genuine minister? Mankwala put money to patara money to even a budget. Mwana pachurunda jeu to the life boy. Life boy yeka no mankwala use to life boy. So today I'm trying to talk on the one better use the sodas. As that now was wamene wapa usiku. Ndio wapi manini mwekata kinyoe lekezani. If anayo mazira yunga kujiendekeza. People are dying there about wakufa. And the government is 660 million. Ndio maziri kutibala gavana wanataka kama tumba mwao. Because wanted to zero to drama is naenda ku. Because kukula mangwazi kuku lakini ndege jeje why twanga ende tatu na ndege military use when the young man how many days can it take to
pure medicine. Until now, 7 years down the line, let me talk about the IMF. IMF is a danger for this country. I'm sure the same group of people who are there in privatization are the same people who are busy in the forefront. They are looking about the IMF. IMF is going to create the calamities in this country if the people are not here. So the IMF will rather than It's going to give us more problems than we don't. And they should not try power to know that the Bakamba for the AI, but the example for them meeting and another EU. And then this country now with technology. So then I'm releasing the natural Kutala, but then but you all that. So the IMF they should not give us that money. Then it is very consistent with this government. We have failed to go to the economy. But the Kufa are going to be the Kufa is better. One of my friends of Kaita Makufa, but your friend is found on the Pastura. In the night, was the transportation of town engine. In which country? This is a Murumwe, but I did a promotion of Kai. This is the one of the Pastura.
Mukusirizisa aba
This new done government has given pressure to the Zambia.
Thank you very much. 0211293435 is the line that you are calling us on. We can accommodate a few more. Then I allow my guests to respond. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Tauka chabebu ino ba Musanje mwaka bwanje. Kuli chabebu ino petelezani timvere. Mukusirizisa. Zikomo kwambiri time yanu ya Peter ba Musanje. Mr. Simukoko, those are the comments coming from the people. Of course, many of them on the health sector, which is the sector dealing with the lives of the people.
Okay, let me start with Mr. Munsanje, the person who was called last. Mr. Munsanje said we need the IMF to come. Maybe we can be at least okay. We were not okay when the IMF came during the time of MMD when Chiluba was the president. I want to tell Mr. Munsanje to say, is he aware to say in this country we are assembling vehicles? Is he aware that in this country we are making our own shoes? Is he aware that we are making our own TV sets in this country? Again, is he aware that we are making our own clothes in this country? Today, all those clothes, all those assembled vehicles which we are managing to assemble in Livingston, all those companies which we are making the shoes and other things, they are nowhere to be seen because according to the IMF policy, you don't get to control most of your assets. That is why the MMD regime had embarked on privatization. That is why embarking on the IMF is not a reliable solution. You can't be in a home, Mr. Munsanje. You are getting me, I know. You can't be in a home and say, okay, pano veni funa chabe kutini nkalimushe, fesi ni kwa tilisiwe mwana wanga. Maybe kuyaza kwa tili wako, wazankala na ndala maziwaza mboni pasira. You can't do so. We can't sell the things that we have in this country which are limited for the sake of us saying that we are going to benefit, yet we have never benefited. The formula of the IMF, we have used it in this country before, and it has failed, and in fact it made us worse. That's why we can't go back to the IMF. I got to Mr. Chukubabe. Mr. Chukubabe raised cardinal points. Cardinal points, Mr. Godwin. He said, according to the president, he was saying to say, no, wait for my cabinet. You are going to see from my cabinet. He even delayed 2 weeks. You are going to see the cabinet. At bona cabinet kuli ba mutolo. Cabinet kuli ba masebo, kuli ba musokotwani. So nenangala ni wandalinga. Imwe wa president imu. Bantu wanengisa kuti MMD ruzinye my elections ya yeve. Ba musokotwani na ba masebo. Ndiyo mwapuiza mu cabinet. Are you aware of the things that are going to be happening in different sectors? Because one, you have managed to bring people who managed to contribute to the failures of this country at some point. That was this cabinet. We proceed to other people. Mr. General Mark spoke of the the drugs not being procured in time. The truth is, no any drug has been procured in this country. Not even Panadol, not even Cafimo, not even any drug in this country. None of that has been procured. So what you are expecting, Muntu Mususu, is that when you go to the hospital, be on a queue, you won't even find Panadol, you won't even find Cafimo. The only job of the doctors now is to write the prescription and give it to you to say, General Mark ndani mugure munkwala pa chemist. Manjwa General Mark mukaganiza kwe muchokera imwe. Simusebenza maybe. Loko musebenza ngati muna business ya nsipanga ma profit ya menenzo panga kudala. As a result imwe mzakangwa kugula munkwala. Mukakangwa kugula munkwala uja, mzaona mungati your health is threatened. Palasti mzafuna kuzipa ya chabe. Nje ma society ya mene mumvera. Another person came in again. I think it was the same Mr. Chukubabe. I think it's Mr. Munsanja again. No, Mr. Peter was talking about we give them time and they like, and then another person said, no, the person had removed even the person from the UTH. The highest teaching hospital that we have in the country is failing to have even a bandage. Basikira pachilonda na ibuso kwa sira endani. Now, if UTH can't have medicine, nanga kliniki ya mene ili ku Shangombo, nanga kliniki ili kuna Lolo, kliniki ili kuma places ya Mbidi, all these local hospitals, mwaka linga mpaka linga kliniki. Ngatumaenda paka linga kliniki, Mr. Godwin. Sometimes I go there just to see how things are. Kulima queue, mukaenda wa Godwin tumu unanecha bena nurse or doctor, papita maybe 5 hours. Mwankala pacha for 5 hours. Then why do you check a paper tendani? What do you get from that? Almost nothing. Apart from that also, there are other people who said, look, it is sad that we are in the country where you can't even access Panadol from the hospitals. It is sad that hospitals can't have drugs like Kafimo. Where are we going to go as a nation? Apart from that also, they have said this government has failed to procure the drugs or medicine. That is true. For me, I don't take any excuse from this government. Because one, Chimani Baba. Our government wa Godwin. Wapasa ma taxes kuri ma foreign companies. Our government wapeleka ma fertilizer kuri bantu bali mu mizi this time. Bantu ma fertilizers bagula pa 1,050 kwacha per bag mu Eastern Province and many parts of the country. Manya imo ba Godwin mu vintu ngati vidula muri iyo we. Muzafika kutina life. Bantu beba vutika omu. Mwana mama doctors zamingenesa manchito. Mwana mama nurses. Mwana mama bonse be mwana ama. Question is that abo bantu be munama. Ni bana banu omubatenga bwanje omuseka chimbuya na beve. Because one, you don't joke when it comes to the health of a human being. That is why other people like Miss Baba Chideshe bachirando kwa umuntu wangalira kumweo wa muntu te muntu musuma. Ba government bali angalira kumyosha abantu. Kumyosha abantu ishibali angalira abantu balefwa. Neba Godwin umuntu ale pirikita pansha alefwa okufwa ninkwata pana do mutumba. Ngana mpera fe pana to nishapola. Nomba nasunga fyo kusunga ila pana do mutumba. Elo uli omuntu wafa nishuwa mwipa ni nani. Nishinde bo wine ne ofidiro kumupera omuti. How many people are dying in this country as a result of government to fail to supply the medicines which it requires to supply in these hospitals? Then bantu abengi sana. Ma family yanga ya lelila. Ibukiye nuri omwana wanshiwa Mr. Godwin. Uwa losing aba dads bakwe lelo. Uwa lenga ba mami bakwe bafwa lelo. Anta kwete emiti. Uwa lenga abakalamba bakwe bafwa lelo.
As you are concluding as well.
Yes, I'm concluding as well. Ngamwamona uli omuntu laba fyashi bakwe bafwa because payuti yechitapali umuti. Uyo muntu alabo mwana wanshiwa because of the government. This government needs to take things serious, especially when it comes also to the agriculture sector. Now, if they are thinking that if to be politically inclined, once I they done down, now there's a pano by some kunshupa. Bambo kulanda tiyo ifinefi. If you ndanda fishinka, Mr. Godwin, let them go in these markets. Like anybody on my market, mbaya ba ipushaveni. Bushemu no mleika la shani. Life idishani. Government ile shani. Wala wamiwati government kuwaya waya fie. Chimono kana kwa ta government. Bantu ba government wale pange finturumba wesi. Impiyo muntu pakutia kwa tempia finanguni. 50 kwa cha panondela nda ba Godwin. Abantu bale chula. Elonga na landefi. Ba blessingers vaisa. Awe, wila landefi yo. Awe, na ufirwa na iwe wini. The truth is the same. And the truth is one. No matter how you can criticize me, Mr. Godwin, the truth is the people of Zambia are suffering. The only chance that they have, 2026 waka votere fye president, waka fume mu state house mulia, waka wike kwa bantu wali competent mulia.
Thank you very much, and of course we appreciate you for coming through. That's where we end today's edition of the Lusaka Star Radio Magazine.